Hi and welcome here. I have some exciting news to share with you, which is that this can become your turning point. This day can be the divide between the way you've been living and how you will continue from today onwards. It's time for us to leave behind the ways of living where we're just being thrown around by the waves that life brings our way. We don't have to do that anymore. We can be the creators of the waves. We don't have to be just living out the effect. We can become the cause. Now, I don't know how much you personally know about the subjects that I'm gonna share about, but either way, whether you're completely new to it or whether you have quite some experience and awareness, this time is a new chapter, the opening of a new chapter, where even if you learned a lot about manifestation, spirituality, self-help, inner work, still, if you've noticed stagnation somewhere or you learned a lot but you struggle to embody that knowledge, a shift can happen here. And if you're completely new to it, then you don't have to go that route that so many people go, which is that you learn and learn and learn, and you have like so many ideas. They might even be contradicting and confusing, but like you don't truly get it. Like you can't live it. It's just here. You heard of it, you read about it, you've seen a video. This is the time to go from theory to practice. And that is how you turn your life around. When you become an organic embodiment of the wisdom that you've been learning. When you become the creator of waves. But that does not look like an immediate 100% shift. It does not look like everything that was ends and everything goes into new. Like that is just not the way life works. These patterns that you've been encountering and suffering from are coming over and over and over again. They come back. You feel the same things over and over again with different people in different circumstances. And really the difference, because I don't want you to have an unrealistic expectations towards this journey, the difference is not that the waves stop completely or that there are only positive waves. The difference is that until now, either completely or for the most part, you've been living out just the effect. And you haven't been the one who created these manifestations consciously. So let me go into something like a concept that I love to share with you. You might have heard by many people that like, oh my god, these are the end times, like all the signs are out there. It's exactly what the Bible has been describing, or whatever else. Like spiritual people might be saying that is the apocalypse, basically. But does it mean that the world ends, or does it not? Like there's quite some confusion around that subject, and I'd like to shed some light on that. So basically what apocalypse means, the word itself, is revelation. It doesn't mean an ending. It doesn't mean everything falling apart necessarily, although it might include some things falling apart that aren't functional. It's a big revelation. What is a revelation? Basically something that was covered becomes uncovered. So something that was unseen, something that was in the dark comes into light. That's what has been happening. So I want to, share the thought with others that, it seems like everything's getting darker and darker and worse and worse. And that is exactly why, because that's not the reality. Things haven't been getting worse and worse and darker and darker. In some ways, yes, in some ways they are getting better and better. Overall, it definitely hasn't been getting darker. Like people like to say, evil is getting stronger, darkness is getting stronger. No, it's becoming revealed. Like the light is being shed on it. The light being, shined on it. So basically something becoming conscious that was uncovered and in the dark until now is the first step in the process. We have to first become aware to start working with something. Now, a lot of the darkness has been unseen previously, because before the media, before the internet, before, that, people and their experiences or like localized events were much more separated and kept in that area. So if let's say terrible tragedy happened with a family, you didn't see that in the news. You didn't see that, let's say, someone murdered someone else. You had no idea. You only knew things that happened around you, in your community, your surroundings. Maybe you heard like the biggest of the biggest news, something is going on with your country or another country, but it was like a fraction of what amount of information we can access today. So really that's what's happening, is that everything is flowing into the conscious, things that we didn't know until now. Some really, really terrible things that are happening now have been happening for centuries or thousands of years. And now it's simply becoming more, like, information about it is more accessible to the public. But we can of course talk way more about, how to relate to all of this in a healthy way. But, basically everything that's going on outside is the reflection of the inside, and the reverse is true as well. So the big revelation that is going on right now, these huge changes worldwide, it's the best way to support this transition and to manifest the best outcome or outcomes for the collective and for ourselves. We need to do the same. We need to have an inner apocalypse, basically. What does that mean? It's, once again, big revelation. So if we are consciously getting into this process and we're proactive about it, which I'll describe, now what that even means, then we are supporting, and strengthening the light that we all like to, the idea of, the world moving towards a utopia instead of dystopia. So a world where, the values that are embodied by humans and in general are, things like kindness, love, consideration, healthy relationships, people supporting each other, everyone thriving. This requires us to strengthen the light inside of us. And that does not look like, some people might mistakenly spread, it doesn't look like rejecting the darkness, because it just doesn't work that way. What you reject doesn't go away. What you integrate is what actually goes through a transformation. So that is how we can support this process, which is good for all people, the whole world, and especially for us as individuals. So how the inner apocalypse looks, if we want to put it that way, basically how you can have this inner revelation, ride this wave that's happening, that is, you know, not just this year or last year or next year. It's like going on for a while. It's not exactly defined and restricted to a specific time frame, but we are in that time frame regardless. And yeah, so the point is to do the same, to shed light onto the darkness. This is the equivalent of basically doing shadow work. So we're looking at what's inside, what's been hidden, what's been playing out. Like everything that has been happening in your life did not come from nowhere. So this reality is based on the law of attraction. You might have heard of it. I think it's likely if you're watching this video. And that means that everything, like it's a mirror of reality. So what's inside gets reflected back. Now, who decides what's inside? Well, it's not just what you think and feel consciously. That's like a small portion. What's inside has been set up since you basically entered the womb. And much before that. So that's, you know, you entered the womb space, you know, before you were born, and you started absorbing everything from your mother, from the surroundings, emotional patterns, thought patterns, dynamics, and from the genes too. You know, there's more and more information about transgenerational traumas and patterns. You did not come here with an empty page just to be written on. You came in with like baggage that includes positive and negative things, gifts and curses, although there's no such thing because everything can be alchemized. Basically, we are here to alchemize the things that we don't want to continue to experience and play out with future generations. So yeah, the point is to shed light on what's been playing out. Where is it coming from? We collected this whole baggage that we carry internally, and a lot of it, most of it, we're not aware of. So it's really important these days, especially more than ever before, to do shadow work and shed light on what's inside, to learn about the patterns that are playing out, to introspect, self-reflect. There are so many tools that I would be happy to share some. But right now I just want to basically deliver this message that if you want to create a new earth, as some like to put it, if you want to create a better future for humanity and, you know, all living beings on this earth, or even just yourself, like, it's, I don't think it's surprising, but I'd like to point it out that basically you need very similar things. You need to do very similar things for your own best interest, because once again, you know, the small and the big are like reflections of each other, as above, so below. So the healthier you become, the more you support the health of humanity. The more you support the health of humanity, you need to be healthier to do that. So it always starts with you. All change starts with you. There's the times when there's no change. What's going on is that people want others to start. But it all starts with me and you. So yeah, that's how this can become the dividing point in your life, where if you look back, you can say, yeah, that's where everything started changing, like in a whole new level, like never before. Because this is the shift from being tossed around by the waves. It does not mean that that stops right now. It may not 100% completely stop in your lifetime, but it can gradually slow down. It can happen less and less, and you can be the creator of like new waves, and that can become most of your experience, because there's so much unconscious stuff and subconscious stuff. There's like almost infinite amount to learn about and work with, but that's kind of the point here, because we're here to expand and learn, so we don't really ever want to run out of lessons completely, although it's understandable if someone likes the idea of that. That doesn't mean that there's no rest, no ease, no joy to be experienced in the meantime. Quite the opposite. So you can go from that, you can stop just suffering and reliving the same pains over and over again, and your new way of being and living can become about learning and developing organic wisdom from every wave that you encounter, and you are one step ahead each time. It's no longer meaningless suffering. Every single thing you experience can become the building block of a new life that is more aligned, that is happier, healthier, more joyful, full of love, harmony, or whatever you value, because that's kind of the point. You create a life based on what you personally value. So that when you develop the skills and the knowledge and the wisdom, the organic embodied wisdom within yourself, it becomes a whole different experience, because you no longer live from this learned powerlessness that most of us live from. You start to understand you're never just lost. You always know what to do with what's going on, where to look, where to go, what process to use, what tool to use. So you're never just helpless. You are never just hopeless. There's always a way ahead, and it just gets better and better and better and better after every wave. And none of your pain has to become meaningless. All of it can add to your life. This is the process of becoming anti-fragile, which is a term that I love. Basically what it means is things or people who are anti-fragile, when they encounter distress, when they encounter difficulty, instead of becoming weaker, they become stronger. So it's like the Hydra, for example, in Greek mythology, when, if a hero cut off its head, it grew back 3 instead. Now you don't have to become like an evil mythical creature, although I don't know if it was evil, but this can be a positive thing. In fact, it is a positive thing if you are, operating with pure intentions, and you're here to just enjoy life and spread love and connect and live out your purpose, whatever that might be for you. Instead of becoming weaker and weaker and moving closer and closer to collapse or depression or anything else, giving up completely, instead of that, you can become stronger and stronger. And that does not look like, it doesn't have to unless you want it to, it does not look like being like the tired kind of strong, like tough. No, becoming stronger in this sense can make you softer, can make you more at ease, it can make you happier. So I don't mean stronger in that sense that you're like a warrior. Like maybe you can live out that archetype a little bit, or very much if you enjoy it, but it just means becoming more anti-fragile, becoming more resilient. But instead of just having to rely on that constantly, you actually gradually have to rely on your strength less and less as you are creating this whole new quality of experience and of relationships that you want to live in for the long term. So I would like you to join me on the journey if you feel called to. If you're watching this video, I'm sure it's no coincidence because it's my first video I'm publishing on this channel, but there's a lot more coming. And yeah, I would like to aid you on this journey. If you feel inspired, I would like to share the tools that I've learned, share the wisdom that I have learned, so that you can have way better time being embodied here on earth. And so you can get wherever you want to get, so that you're not held up by obstacles constantly, so that you're not living out the same pain over and over again, and so that you're not stuck in suffering, because that's not what you came here to do, and that's not what I want for you, and that's not what you want for you. So yeah, I'm really just here to help you make sense out of all of this. Just like, yeah, I want to be the person who I needed as well when I was younger. Yeah, that's an inspiring thing to think about. Like, I suppose a lot of us want to become the person that we needed when we were a kid or a teenager. Yeah. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give the support that I think a lot of us need. So yeah, I'm just happy if you're here and if you watch this, and I can't wait to meet you again.